Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. We have a very, very special episode today, so much so that I couldn't handle it myself. So I'm going to bring a co-host on to Thrive Loud today because this is someone who's been on the show a couple of times, actually has been on the show for one of the 1,000 milestone episode. She is a professional podcaster of just incredible award-winning activities, really cool stuff, and seems to be connected to a lot of Cornellians, but she's also a really good friend of mine. Thrive Loud listeners, co-hosting this special episode with me is the lovely Michelle Katz. Michelle. Hello, Michelle. How are we?
I'm so happy to be here. First of all, yes, we have a long history of being friends, but also I have learned so much from you for my podcast. And you were a guest on my podcast too, which was incredible. But I am thrilled to be here because when I listen to your podcast, I leave smarter. And that's such a gift that you have. And I feel connected to your guests, which makes a lot of sense with what we're going to be introducing our audience to today.
She's so good at segues, everybody, and we knew this. And with that, I think it's really good because we're talking about smart content. Well, we've got two very smart people here today. I would love to let everybody know we will do a build-up on this, but I am very excited to bring us two very important people. Michelle, who are our guests today?
We have Rabbi Jonathan Jaffe and Rabbi Leora Londy, who are spiritual leaders, and they feel like friends, although I think I'd rather eat thumbtacks than call them by their first names.
There they are. Well, welcome the two of you here with obviously the logistics of video technology. We will be bouncing back and forth with these unique views. So first of all, welcome to Thrive Loud, both of you. How are you both?
We're doing all right.
Doing great. So happy to be with you.
Excellent. I'm excited to have these two because we've gotten to know them over the past few months, but they've also been making a name for themselves. To kick things off, rabbis, if it's okay, and you could do a coin flip here, would love for you to share the listeners your journey and how you arrived to your congregation.
I guess I'll go first because I've been here a little bit longer, if that's okay. So I came here to Chappaqua 11 years ago. I had served as the assistant rabbi at a very large synagogue in San Francisco for 8 years prior to that. But I knew about Chappaqua. I had worked in New York City, had friends here, came up here to intern when I was in college. I actually, Lou, you would like to know this, briefly dated someone in college from Chappaqua and went home to visit. And so had been in this town, had seen the community, knew about it. And when the senior position opened up, was something that I was very interested in. At the time, the cantor of the synagogue had been our former intern in San Francisco. And I kept on texting her and asking, when is your synagogue going to place already? And when are they going to put their announcement out there? Because I can't wait to apply to it. And I was fortunate enough to get the job.
Spectacular. I did not know that fact. And Rabbi Londy, what about you? How did you get here?
I had a very different kind of journey. I was a rabbi in Israel. I lived in Israel for about 17 years, and I was working as a rabbi at several different communities, including Beit Daniel, which is the big Reform community in Tel Aviv. And as part of my learning, I went on an internship to America. I'm originally from America, but I went on an internship to New York City for about 2.5 weeks. And when I was at that internship, the rabbi there said to me, have you ever considered being a rabbi in America? And I said, I mean, I don't know. My life is in Israel, but why not? Let's look at what's available. And we saw that Temple Beth El of Northern Westchester was on the list. And so I got connected and I got in touch with Rabbi Jaffe. And it kind of happened very quickly. We met, we clicked, and I moved my family to Israel all within about 3 months. And I've been here for going on 2.5 years, and it's been really wonderful.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that none of the answers were, well, it was obviously because Michelle was a congregant in the community. I mean, we're Michelle, any questions for these lovely two individuals before to kick things off here?
Well, it's so interesting to me because both of them came to the temple when I was already a congregant, and both of them came in so seamlessly. And I'm wondering what it's like to come to a new rabbi and how easy was it to feel part of it and to get along with each other and create that relationship that now seems so natural to all of us.
Sure, I'll go. I mean, for me, it's a bit of a surprise. I think I've confided in this in our own podcast that for me, when I went to college, I found New York Jews to be so intimidating. And coming from the West Coast, I didn't speak the language very well, and I always thought that I would remain somewhere out west. When I came here to Bethel, I was very fortunate. I had an idea of what a synagogue should look like, and very much from my preparation in San Francisco. And when I interviewed with the board, I made it very clear that if I were to come to the synagogue, this is my vision and this is how I would like that to proceed and what my strengths are and where my limitations are. And the board basically said, let's do it. And I sat with the temple president, I remember at a conference even before I started working here, and we laid out the entire first year or two of what we wanted to do. And so by the time I got here, both because we had done a lot of the work in advance and because the lay leadership had already reached an agreement and we all knew what the vision was, that I enjoyed an incredibly seamless transition here to the synagogue, better than I could have ever imagined. And I'm incredibly fortunate to have lay leadership here that has been supportive each step of the way.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Leora. Yeah.
So my journey here has been different. I mean, this is my first pulpit in America. And one of the things that really just stood out to me was how thriving and vibrant this community is and how excited people are and proud of being Jews in Chappaqua. If people don't know, Chappaqua has become a little bit of a hub for Jews in Westchester, and it's just a really incredible and exciting place to be in the rabbinate. And also when I joined the community, it was very clear to me that this community is very serious about being Jewish, which is important to me, and also takes joy and doing Judaism through a positive and bright viewpoint very seriously. And that's always how this community leads, with a lot of love and a lot of joy. And so when I saw that that's how Rabbi Jaffe and the rest of the staff and leadership here run a community, I said, all right, I'm into it.
So I think it's a perfect segue for topic. It has been a challenge for the Jewish community, specifically in the sense that they're in a time right now where it feels unthinkable in being a Jew today in society. There is a tremendous rise of antisemitism that feels like it's popped up, and obviously as leaders of a Jewish community, it's probably even more pressing and prevalent and challenging to deal with all the you're having to deal with. I would love to hear both of you share how what's happened today is hitting both of you, both professionally and personally.
Sure, I'll go. I mean, it's one of those cases where it's the worst of times and the best of times. I'm going to use an old hackneyed joke here that you may have heard before, that someone is speaking to their long-lost grandfather and somehow are able to communicate with them and say, Saba, it's terrible. There's anti-Semitism for all the Jews at the Ivy League schools. And the grandfather says, you mean to tell me in your day there are Jews at Ivy League schools? Yes, Saba. Yes, but they all hate the state of Israel. What? There's a state of Israel? That despite all of the anti-Semitism and incredibly anti-Zionist fervor out there, we live in one of the best times you could possibly live in all of world history for being a Jew, both in terms of living in America and having a state of Israel as well. I find that in my work over the past several years, especially, people have really had an awakening over the fact that their Judaism means so much to them and see the synagogue as their center of Jewish life and learning. The sad thing is that we see in the world that there are a lot of people who think poorly of the Jewish people, the Jewish state, or maybe don't think about us so much, and we never knew how much we love each other at the same time. And so we, like Rabbi Londy said, we focus and drive straight into that love, and that we are here in order to foment a positive Jewish identity, one of deep pride, but that pride needs to be predicated upon knowledge. And our job here is to supply and to support our congregants with all of the knowledge, with all of the perspective that allow them to live fully vibrant Jewish lives. And I say in a world in which we have rising anti-Semitism, I'm just so grateful that there's something for me to do, that I have a role, that there's something actively that I can do in order to serve the larger Jewish community.
Rabbi Londy, Rabbi Londy.
Yeah, it was a weird time to become a rabbi in America. About a month and a half after I moved here, it was October 7th. And so everything that I thought my job would be kind of just received a dose of steroids. And that's been, as Rabbi Jaffe said, a really strange privilege to just be at the forefront of helping people figure out what their Jewish identity means to them. Historically, there's always a trend that when things are good for the Jews, there's assimilation and people feel further away from their Jewish identity and put the identity of wherever they are first and foremost. Like Americans during a golden age are more American than they are Jewish. But when we feel impending anti-Semitism, people look again towards their Jewish identity. And so it's just been really, really beautiful and special in some ways to be a shepherd on people's journeys and figuring out how they're Jewish and why being Jewish is important to them and why being Jewish has been such an important part of perpetuating the Jewish people has always been a part of who we are. And so I get to wake up every day and know that I'm doing something that's meaningful to me, as Rabbi Jaffe said, and helping people connect to something that they want to feel closer with and have a deeper understanding and knowledge of.
I think that's like a mic drop moment, or there was another thing there was in the background. They didn't hear the sound with the back that we all heard.
We unfortunately had the garbage being emptied in the back lot of the synagogue, just as Rabbi Lotz was speaking.
It feels like a metaphor of some sort. I don't know.
Good. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I want to piggyback off something that Lou asked in that question, which is to say that you are both human. And right after October 7th, Rabbi Jaffe, especially, I saw you break down on the Bima. So you are going through what we are all going through, but then we're also all looking and leaning on the two of you and the rest of the clergy to help us feel better. So how do you do that? How do you deal with both what you are feeling, which is so painful and scary and confusing, but then you have to make sense of it for all of us? How do you do that?
I think there are two different types of clergy. There's the idea of being a clergy in which it is some sort of a different persona that you take on when you stand on the bima. And there's a kind of clergy that I think Rabbi Londy and I much more inhabit, which is just to be authentically ourselves. We don't have a pope in Judaism. We rabbis are regular people with all of the same mistakes and limitations as anybody else. We cry just like other people do. We laugh just like anyone else does. And hopefully that makes people feel as though we're accessible to them. That I very much again value being in a community where I can be vulnerable in times of vulnerability, and there are others who will share in that moment with us. And so there's a teaching that when a rabbi passes away, that when you say Kaddish for them, or even on their gravestone, you don't write rabbi, you don't do anything, you don't give them a title, because everyone's equal and everyone's the same in memory. And I think we very much see ourselves here at the synagogue as participants and co-members, neighbors of this community, but not as though we're putting on an act that we can't be genuinely ourselves, especially in times of deep emotion.
I wanted to, and it's something to pat your guys your backs on, because it is a great modest perspective within it, but also recognizing the challenge of having to do both. I want to shift gears a little bit to something that we're all in here in the same world about, and that world is in the spirit of sharing knowledge. You're putting out some pretty impressive content. Can the two of you opine about this new program you've created called In Such a Time?
Sure. You want to talk about this one first?
Sure. And one of the things that I think we've all felt over the last few years is that it's really hard to engage in discussion with people who might differ in opinion. with us from us. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed in working with Rabbi Jaffe is that we have very different opinions, very, very different opinions. Often we agree on a lot as well, but we come from, I think, different starting points. And in a moment that feels really quite divisive and polarized in so many ways, we wanted to model for our community and also do this for ourselves in our own friendship and working relationship, that we can have difference of opinions on a variety of subjects and still be engaged and care for one another and have deep respect for one another. That's so much a Jewish value, that we are engaged in holy discourse, and using our minds and our thoughts to challenge one another, to grow rather than to take one another down. And so this opportunity has really been one of, I think, growth and connection, and showing our community that, first of all, the Jewish tradition offers so much to believe in and to think about and to connect with. And also sometimes we aren't going to agree on how and what and why. And so we talk that out, and we want the community to see that, that is such a sacred pursuit, to talk things out and then to stay connected.
Yeah, I would just add that I think in today's modern rabbinate, if we sit in our offices and if we wait for congregants to come to the synagogue, open the synagogue doors to come and speak with us or hear from us, then we're not going to connect with anyone. I would even say that maybe, 50, 70 years ago, people would go Friday night to the synagogue to hear what the rabbi had to say on the bima about the issue of the day. And again, there's so much information out there and so many wonderful op-ed writers and thinkers that's not necessarily going to happen as well. We have to always be creative and think about where are our congregants and how can we best reach them. And the platform of podcasts, as the two of you know very well, is this amazing new opportunity in order to hold people's attention and be in dialogue and a relationship with them in a very personal and intimate way, but in a way that works with their schedules. And I think it's been for us an incredible opportunity both to share with our congregants and, like Rabbi Londy said, to explore the relationship with one another.
I just want to say, Michelle, that they do a much better job co-hosting than you and I do. I've been watching them. I've been listening to them. They balance out the content. Yeah. They argue because you and I would just make fun of each other, I think is what would happen.
So true. So tempting.
Yeah. I'm bringing this up. I'm bringing Michelle on screen here because, Michelle, you're a listener. Tell us what you have been gaining from this content that you've been checking out.
So to me, it feels like a time capsule of what's going on in the Jewish world right now. And that means a lot of things. It means understanding the authenticity behind what the rabbis are suggesting we do, the beauty of a Shabbat dinner, the understanding of the importance of, not just ending your Jewish education after you're a bar bat mitzvah. It's intelligent, it's emotionally intelligent, it's like spiritual therapy, it's all these things. And when I saw the list of topics they were going to cover, every single one of them appealed to me. I wish they would have recorded them all in one fell swoop so that I could just listen continuously and binge like I do with TV shows. And it's just a way to get to know them a little bit beyond the bima, where we all sit there in amazement. But this is like a little more casual, but you still feel both Jewish and religious, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I would say to you guys both, I love asking this question to you. I'll throw it back to the hosts of In Such a Time. And that is, there's a gift that you create when you create great content, whether it's Michelle's program, the Cornell Thank You podcast, well done, my show, or their content or whatever it might be. When you create content, the gift that you give to everybody else is that content. But it turns out that there's a happy accident that happens. By putting their content out there, the content creators receive a gift in return. Rabbis, I would love to hear from you. What has been the gift that you have received from In Such a Time?
I can take that one easily. I think that Rabbi Londy and I were recently just reflecting on this, the fact that because of recording this podcast, it creates for us a structure to regularly sit down with each other and talk about things that maybe we wouldn't make the time for in our regular office life. I actually would liken this, and I'm going to take this, don't take this in too much of a morose way. it's similar to a funeral intake. And let me explain. When you are talking with a family, preparing for a funeral, there is a goal in mind, and that goal is to receive information in order to properly officiate and to eulogize the loved one. But the process is far more important. It's the cathartic nature of sitting down and talking with the relatives and hearing what they have to say about their loved one or what parts of their legacy that they most appreciate and reflect upon. That cathartic activity is really the goal of sitting down with them. So just as the output, the product of our podcast is something we're very proud of, I think even more important is the relationship building that we do when we come together and talk about these thorny issues.
Yeah, I want to echo that. I think it's been really positive in the way that we relate to one another. It's also been really intellectually and emotionally stimulating, spiritually as well. Like, I think we get to talk about our beliefs, and there's sometimes inequality, and sometimes there's a mentor-mentee kind of dynamic that happens. And I like when that shifts and people get to see that play out. And something on top of that that's been a real gift is that congregants are writing to us or calling us and saying, you know, what you said really touched me, and here are my ideas about it, and maybe you want to talk about this. So it's also giving us a clue as to what people care about. And it's helping them, I think, clarify what they feel as Jews and as Americans and as Jewish Americans and American Jews at this time.
Let's do the plug section here, because we're going to have a fun version of Fun Street here on Thrive Loud. Rabbis, share with the listeners all the places they can find your program, you guys, anything they want to learn about you guys.
Well, thankfully for Lou, because he's so good at his job here, we can be found just about anywhere. I know we're on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, or anywhere else, or the platform that you use for your podcasts. And we have a great team behind us to helping us make us look good.
And if you want to find out more about our community, we also have a website, bethlnw.org. And so there's a little bit more about us there as well.
And if you're in the area, come drop by. We'd love to see you.
Spectacular. We will put all those links in the show notes, but the most important part of this particular program is now up, because now we get to ask you guys the questions, because the rabbis are always asking questions, right? Even every title of their shows are questions for us to think of. So here we go. We are going to hit upon this. This is called the Speakeasy. Well, it's really called the Speakeasy Pub Crawl, but I think we're going to pretend it's Purim, and we're just going to drink away here. Okay, rabbis, here we go. We're going to start off on the on-ramp here. This is the Mount Rushmore of your favorite movies, meaning it can't exceed 4 spots, but what are your all-time favorite movies? We'll go Rabbi Londy first.
Oh, no. Okay. No, 4. I didn't even prepare this.
You don't even need 4. You could pick 1 or 2. Just to
okay.
See it.
My all-time favorite is The Big Lebowski.
Oh, my God. Awesome.
It has a lot of, it's very Jewy in some ways, in the best way. And I just think it's such a great critique of modern life that just holds up time after time.
My favorite movie from growing up, and still my favorite movie, is Midnight Run with Charles Grodin and with Robert De Niro as possibly the best buddy cop action. And I remember growing up and thinking that Charles Grodin's dry delivery was everything I wanted to be in life. And he was so wonderfully annoying to people. And I've tried to follow that in ways of teasing friends and such, but going back to that movie, it still makes me smile and cry within the first hour and a half.
Rabbi, are you performing the litmus configuration? That's really what I want to know. That's from the movie.
Why were you unpopular with the Chicago Police Department? Why are you unpopular with the Chicago Police Department?
And Rabbi,
you're in denial. You're doing something that's not good for you.
Very good. Rabbi Londy, I would just like to add to that point of movie quotes. My favorite part of that entire movie is that he can't perform it because it's the Shabbos. When just because I've divorced my wife, it doesn't mean I've divorced my religion. Is one of the favorite lines of the entire movie. Anyway,
I know I quote it at home, but I'm not gonna. I'll be bleeped out if I quote it right.
So the way this is going to work, listeners and viewers, Michelle and I are going to ping pong here with certain questions, and you guys will go and you'll alternate how you respond for the rest of the speed round. Ready, Michelle? Kick us off.
All right. Give us the song that lights you up.
Don't Stop Me Now by Queen.
Oh, no, now I can't think of that lights me up. Doesn't light me up, but I've always loved the song Killing Me Softly. I just think the Fuji version of it is just so beautiful.
Love that.
Yes.
A favorite food that is not a dessert.
I love a good bowl of tofu and that sounds like the worst answer. Tofu and rice, and I'm a vegetarian. Just take me to any Japanese restaurant, tofu teriyaki.
Okay.
Wow, that's a terrible answer. I hate the answer, but I'm going with this.
It's your answer, so there's nothing.
No, I can't think of. Oh, I do know. I'm taking this back. My favorite food is shakshuka. It's tomato and egg, and it's an Israeli cuisine. Okay, that's a much better answer.
Much better answer. Okay. Rabbi Jaffe.
I grew up eating Hawaiian plate lunch food. So give me a styrofoam box that has 2 scoops of rice and has teriyaki chicken with it with some really spicy sriracha, and I'm good.
That's basically my answer, but it sounds so much better.
So true. Okay, how about this is easier. What's your favorite dessert?
I'm going to go with malabi as a Jewish dessert. It's the best thing that no one knows about here on the East Coast because it is largely in Iraqi and other Mizrahi food. It is either the par version with coconut milk, or you can make it with cream with the milkshake version, and with rose water and coconut and sugar and little bits of peanut sprinkled on top. And it's phenomenal. And if you haven't had that before, you should check it out.
That's a really good answer. I like a dark chocolate brownie with berries on top and some whipped cream.
All right. An activity.
Yeah.
An activity you wish you did more of.
I mean, it's cliche by now, but I love going surfing. And here in the East Coast, the surfing season is just coming to an end for me because I'm not one of these insane people that surf in February. And so being outdoors, surfing between May and November, that's the best. I wish it was all year round.
2 things for me. I wish that I did more writing and had more of a practice of that. And also, my all-time favorite activity is going to a city and just getting lost for the day, and I wish I did that more.
How about an activity you wish you did less of?
Do you want, as the mother with 3 young children, you want to go first?
Yeah, we're deep in potty training, so I wish I was doing a lot less of that.
I think it says something about the wonderful life that I have, that I don't have that many things in my life that I wish I didn't have, that I wish I didn't have to do nearly as much.
So nice.
I guess home repair and maintenance, because I'm really bad at that.
So home repair is out. Okay, we got that. So for both of you, a new activity, one that you've recently tried that you like so much you want to tell all the listeners and viewers to try.
Do you want that one first or me?
You go first.
I went to my first yoga class. I'm only like 30 years behind everybody else here, and it was actually not so bad.
Okay, I also have an exercise one.
Yeah.
I just went to my first CrossFit class, and I loved it.
Oh, yeah. Wow. There you go.
There you go. I like it.
Ooh, that's hard. Okay, how about if we snapped our fingers and you could be anywhere in the world? Where would you guys like to be?
On the beach in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, same answer.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know exactly what spot, too.
Gordon Beach. Where would you
I'd be a little bit further north, a little less touristy.
Like by the Namal? Where
I like Tel Baruch.
Okay, very good.
Rabbi Londy, Rabbi Jaffe, everybody go check out In Such a Time. It was truly a pleasure to have you both on the program. Continued success on this program. There's a lot. Just to be clear, this is one of the top growing podcasts out there, new ones. We were talking about the specificity of it, but it is definitely worth listening to. We will put all the links in the show notes. Continued success to both of you. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Really great to have you both here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Good
Thanks
to see you.
for having us. Good to see you
guys.
Hey, Michelle, phenomenal job here. Spectacular. Co-hosting abilities here. It took make my job that much easier. I did half the work, and maybe you did more.
You know what? I have to say, like, it doesn't matter who you're speaking to. You bring in people that create community and leadership in any industry, and it transcends their industry and really makes sense for anybody who's listening. So thank you for what you do.
From Rabbi Londy, Rabbi Jaffe, to the amazing Michelle Katz, to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.